What's going on, y'all? This is WWE Superstar Kofi Kingston, and you're listening to Wrestling Uncensored.
This is Cody Rhodes, and you are listening to Wrestling Uncensored.
This is Rob Van Dam. You're listening to Wrestling Uncensored.
Yeah. Welcome to Wrestling Uncensored. I'm Dave Simon. He is Johnny North. We're here every Saturday night talking professional wrestling. WWE Money in the Bank is the next one that we're looking forward to coming up in May, but WWE doesn't really seem that focused on it. We'll get to that. We'll get to Money in the Bank and who might challenge for the championships. I want to look forward and figure out what's next for Seth Rollins, the Universal Champion, who remains on Monday Night Raw, and what's next for the WWE Champion, Kofi Kingston, who remains on SmackDown. The big news of the week, of course, the Superstar Shake-Up that was here in Montreal, both Raw and SmackDown at the Bell Center this week. Somebody else who's in Montreal right now with us in studio, our main man, Mr. Wally Byrne, directly from Ireland.
Great to be here, guys. Thanks for having us along, Dave.
There he is. Wally is here, and Johnny is here. Look at this. Wally's here for Wrestling Uncensored, Johnny.
It's kind of cool. Kind of really cool.
Kinda really cool.
Kinda really cool.
You could just say cool. It's cool.
It's interesting. It's different to have three people like this. We've
Yeah.
never done it before. I mean, no, you do it on Ringside Report. It's usual, but it's a new thing for me here.
Okay, John. Well, get ready. It's going to be fun. Wrestling Uncensored here. Wally is here. Wally, you were not at SmackDown and Raw. Johnny North and I were. You got in a little bit after the show started, so you weren't able to make SmackDown. But did you watch the shows? Have you seen Raw and SmackDown?
No, I haven't had any access to be able to see them yet, because the hotel that we're staying in, there's no kind of channels to see them. But I've been reading a lot online, like I've been looking on Twitter and stuff like that, seeing kind of what went down, so I have an idea of kind of what took place.
All right. Well, we will inform you here over the next hour on Wrestling Uncensored. Nice. A lot happened, right? A lot of people moving around. Finn Balor, the Intercontinental Champion, moving over to SmackDown. That was a pretty big deal. Roman Reigns moving to SmackDown, I think maybe the biggest move of the draft. AJ Styles going to Raw was a pretty big deal as well. The Usos going to Raw, Naomi going to Raw. There were some big moves to Raw. We saw Kairi Sane show up with Asuka as a new tag team managed by Paige. They're on SmackDown. So that was something. Overall impression of the draft, though, not that impressed. I was not overly impressed with what the WWE did as far as shocking me or giving me something that I was not expecting. Everything seemed kind of normal, expected, and I wanted more. I wanted more people called up from NXT. I wanted somebody like Brock or Ronda to be drafted. Or at least mentioned. I wanted to see Daniel Bryan. I wanted to see an update on him. He was not in the Superstar Shake-Up. There were a lot of things that I wanted to see from this thing that I did not get. And when they finished off the show with Vince McMahon on Tuesday night, after seeing Raw and SmackDown, it's like 2 straight days of WWE, and then you end the show with Vince, and he's going to announce the biggest signing to SmackDown ever, or whatever they build it as. They build it as a major acquisition for SmackDown.
SmackDown Live history.
Okay, whatever. This was not that, right? And Vince shows up, and he's like, okay, pal, the biggest acquisition in SmackDown Live history is Elias. And I'm like, man, that is a real letdown. And then Roman Reigns shows up, and it turns out he's the big acquisition or whatever. He's on SmackDown now, too. And that's not that exciting. I was expecting more. I was hoping for Ronda. I thought Ronda might show up, and okay, Ronda's on SmackDown now. We get to see Ronda a bit. That would be cool. No Ronda. She's on vacation. No Brock. He's probably done, I'm guessing, for now. And what else do they have? You know, maybe they could have brought somebody up from NXT like Velveteen Dream or Matt Riddle or somebody exciting, but they didn't. They gave me Elias and Roman. And when I'm waiting 2 straight days for something big to happen and Vince McMahon himself shows up in my hometown and he's promising something major, and what he gives me is Elias and Roman, I'm going to be let down. And I'm not the only one.
Well, Roman got a mixed reaction throughout Raw and SmackDown. It felt like people aren't completely behind Roman still, but they kind of don't want to boo him because he just came back from leukemia treatment.
It's weird, right? The Roman treatment is bizarre. It's not as loud for Roman as it used to be. I've seen Roman Reigns perform many times over the past, 5 years of his WWE career. I have never heard a building quieter for Roman Reigns because they don't know what to do. When Roman Reigns used to come out with the Shield, most of the building was behind them and they would cheer. And it was pretty much unanimous cheers for the whole group, right? And they were pretty over, right? When Roman broke off and he started getting boos, those boos were loud. And it honestly felt in the building like John Cena was there. It was the same type of atmosphere, like, whoa, this is a major star we're seeing, and there's real feeling in this building. There's real emotion. People really hate this guy, and it was loud. But now, it's hard to dislike him as much as you did, right? He beat leukemia. He came back after like 3 months, didn't miss WrestleMania. So people have a hard time booing him. I have a hard time being hard on him on the show because I respect what he's been through. However, I don't think it's done him any favors as far as his wrestling character, because now the people that used to be very loud booing him are quiet. And there are still some cheers, but the cheers were never that loud. For Roman, the reaction was the booing. And now that the boos are gone, you wonder what you do with Roman Reigns now. It's kind of difficult because you don't want to push him as a heel. That was never the plan. But obviously, he's not getting over as a babyface, and he can do whatever. You can put him through everything. He survived cancer, and he's still not the babyface they want him to be. So, with the buildings quieter for Roman now, they're in a weird spot with Roman Reigns.
I think they need to have a definitive direction for him. I think either way they need to make up their mind. Do they want to go down the route of pushing him as a heel or pushing him as a face? I think the worst position you can nearly be in my opinion, is somewhere in between, because you're neither.
Sure.
You're not going to get any kind of reaction when you're there. It's like a safe place. You're just there. You're kind of half getting cheers. You're half getting boos. I think they need to just do something big with him. Either push him as a really crazy heel, do something, just change his character completely. Maybe even change the way he looks. Get rid of that old Shield stuff he's still wearing, the gear, and come up with something new for him. Give him a completely new look, a completely new direction. And either way, either make you love him or make you hate him. But either way, you have to feel something. Otherwise, he's never going to be as big as they want him to be.
I think it's going to be tough to hate him. And the in-between gimmick was working for Roman. As a guy that a lot of people loved, but a lot of people hated, it was working because they were loud. It's worked for John Cena for years, and Roman was kind of that new guy doing that. Now, though, people aren't booing him as loudly. There were still some boos. It felt like it was mostly dislike for Roman both nights when he showed up, right? Like, the crowd was not really in favor of Roman, which, like, how do you boo the guy? I feel kind of bad, but I think a lot of people are like me, and they feel kind of bad, and they don't want to boo Roman, and that's why Roman isn't getting a very strong reaction. And they could try and turn him all the way babyface, but they've tried that, and it's failed, right? They could try to turn him all the way heel, but people are having a hard time booing him. So I don't know what you do with him, but I don't think you put him in the main event. Because with reactions like that, he's just not the main event guy. And, of course, he main evented SmackDown. He was put in that spot, but he was put in that spot and he attacked Elias. So I think right now, and for the next few months, it's going to be a rebuild for Roman. So as worried as I am about Kofi Kingston's top spot on SmackDown, I think it's safe for now. Until the WWE figure out how to rebuild Roman. I think mostly until people get really sick of Roman. Like, Roman's going to be pushed like he was before he got sick, right? And eventually people are going to forget that he ever had leukemia, and they're just going to start booing him again, and everything will be back to normal, and then they'll put the title on him. By SummerSlam, right? Probably by August. Like, wrestling fans have very short memories, right?
Well, I think it's just keep him away from Kofi Kingston because he's so beloved, Kofi. As long as Roman's not there, I think there's no problem. But you say not main event scene. Roman's always in the main event. The WWE Championship is lower than Roman Reigns.
Yeah, you're right. Roman is the main event whether he's the champion or not. That is true.
But there won't be as much resentment as long as he's not shoved down our throats where it's like, well, he's got to be WWE champion. It doesn't matter for Kofi. As long as that doesn't happen, I don't think people will hate Roman. I think they'll actually like him. If someone they hate defeats Kofi, they'll want Roman to beat him.
Yeah. Like if a really evil, dastardly heel takes it from Kofi, they'll want Roman to take the title away?
For sure. And I think that's what's going to happen probably.
Are you talking about Randy Orton?
Randy's a great choice. I think Randy
will be your choice.
Of course.
It does make sense, too. It does make a lot of sense for Randy to be the guy to take it from Kofi, get massive heat, and then Roman to save the day. And then Kofi just disappears and he's not in the main event anymore.
To me, you've already written SummerSlam right there. You have Kofi and Xavier, there'd be a problem. Something like what happened with Rey Mysterio and Chavo Guerrero. When Rey won the title, Chavo turned on Rey. They feuded, but Rey was out of the title picture. Do the same thing with Kofi. Kofi-Xavier feud. And then it's Randy and Roman, main event of SummerSlam.
I don't like the idea of breaking up the New Day. I like the idea of breaking them up if they're just separated. Different brands. That could have worked. If you put Kofi on Raw and you left the New Day on SmackDown, that would have been cool because when they reunite, it would have been a big deal. But having them turn on each other, I don't like. I don't like that at all. They've been so supportive. It makes no sense for Woods to now turn on Kofi. And you don't want to see those guys apart. You want to see them on the same side forever.
Yeah, I think splitting them up, by doing, like, say, one goes to one brand, one goes to the other is a good idea, but I would hate to see them turn on each other again. Like, New Day have been one of the best things in the last 5 years in wrestling, and I think maybe people are getting maybe a little bit tired of it. Some people might be. So divide it up for now, but I think just leaving the door open for a big, huge reunion of the three of them coming back together eventually down the line, I think they should leave that door open because they are just amazing. They're much better together as a collective than they are as individuals.
Yeah, and one of the reasons why Kofi is so popular now is because the New Day and Big E and Woods have propped him up. You know, they've made him more exciting. Kofi is more interesting with those guys around him than he is by himself, right? We've seen Kofi by himself. He's good, but Kofi with those guys is like a superstar, right?
But now it's a two-man group because Big E's out. We don't know how long he's going to be out for. We had Big O this week, but I don't think Kevin Owens is always going to be in the New Day. I think that was a one-week thing.
Yeah, because they were in Montreal. Kevin Owens is the big baby face, so they do the New Day with Kevin Owens for one night only, and they have a six-man tag, right?
If Big E is out for a good couple of months, Xavier and Kofi as a team, I don't see them lasting. They're really small. They really need Big E as a backup.
Okay, but what does that mean? Like, they're not a team, though. Kofi Kingston's the WWE champion.
But they did team up. They did kind of main events SmackDown as a team. Still, they had a backup, with Kevin Owens, but that's not going to happen every week. 1 week, they're just going to be outmatched.
Yeah, well, that's fine. They're baby faces. They should be outmatched. We've seen Kofi Kingston with the deck stacked against him leading up to WrestleMania consistently. He had to beat like 100 guys in a gauntlet match, with sharks attacking him and fire thrown at him. Like, they threw everything at Kofi Kingston, and he survived. He's a babyface. That's his gimmick. He survives. I'm good with that. I just don't know where they're going with him. Like, he's got no clear-cut opponent. That's what's bothered me now. We're 2 weeks out from WrestleMania. Okay, WrestleMania happened 2 weeks ago. Money in the Bank is a couple weeks away.
May 19th.
May 19th. See no evil?
It's still,
May 19th, I always think of Kane. Every May 19th,
Kane's
it's like,
not coming back
Happy Kane Day, it's May 19th.
He's not coming back.
No, for May 19th? A pay-per-view on May 19th and you're not going to have Kane? You kidding me?
Because only a few fans remember that. You remember that, but I'm sure WWE...
Wally remembers.
I remember.
You remember, Johnny. Most people remember May 19th. It's Kane Day.
Yeah, I don't see Kane coming back, but that's a great way for Kofi to lose the WWE Championship is with a cash-in.
At Money in the Bank.
Oh, it could be at Money in the Bank. It could be later on. You have a long summer.
We are 4 weeks away from Money in the Bank, so we still have quite a bit of time. Nice long build. It's kind of weird, the after Mania break. Like, what's the deal?
It wasn't supposed to be this because we were supposed to get the next event in Saudi Arabia, but they changed
early May, right?
Right, but they changed it, so that's why. And then you're going to get the Saudi Arabia event pretty quickly right after Money in the Bank.
Ah, I see. That's what's going on.
And then Extreme Rules will come really quick, as also, I think, in June.
So you're saying enjoy the break because it's about to be a deluge of wrestling.
Well, remember how long that Saudi Arabia event was?
Oh, yeah. Is it going to be in the afternoon again?
Probably in the noon, yeah.
Oh, that'll be fun.
For us.
Yeah.
For Wally, not so much.
Yeah, it'll be late for me.
Well, Saudi Arabia in the afternoon, Ireland time, you'd rather a pay-per-view happening in the afternoon here than at night, because at night it's like 3 in the morning. In the afternoon, it's like, what, 7 o'clock at night?
Yeah, actually, that's true. Actually,
Not bad.
The last Saudi Arabia one I actually watched driving home in traffic. So
Yeah.
it was on my phone, so yeah. So actually, now that you think of it, it probably would actually suit us better. It fell on a Friday as well, so.
They should do more events in Saudi Arabia.
Move the whole company there.
Yeah, who cares how many people they murder? Whatever. Just take the money and go. And it's a good time for the European fans. So, keep it going.
Remember it was over 5 hours, though, last time?
Was it?
Because they had the greatest Royal Rumble. That was the last time. Yeah.
Oh, is that where the Undertaker wrestled with Shawn
Rusev.
Michaels?
No, Rusev. That was
Where'd they do the Shawn Michaels? Australia?
That was November. They do say Arabia twice a year.
Yeah. But the November one in Saudi Arabia, that's when Shawn Michaels came back, right?
Yes.
That was a mess.
But the greatest Rumble, I think Taker wrestled Rusev.
Yeah.
In the casket match. Yeah.
Right. So they're going to go back to Saudi Arabia in June. In 4 weeks, though, we have Money in the Bank. And, 2 weeks out from WrestleMania, I want to have some sort of direction for one of the champions. We have no idea where we're headed for anybody. Not only that, but Finn Balor, who's the Intercontinental Champion, he got moved over to SmackDown. Samoa Joe is the mid-card United States Champion on SmackDown. I have not heard whether or not he's on Raw. Is he on Raw? Did they move him?
He's scheduled to be on Raw. They didn't make the move because he was too sick to appear.
Okay.
So,
but did they say anything? Did they put a graphic with Joe going to Raw? Anything?
They've said nothing.
What's the deal?
He was too sick to appear.
This Superstar Shake-Up was so sloppily done. You could tell they had no idea what they were doing. Just like I predicted, they made very few big moves. It was just a clueless stumble of a shake-up. This is a time when they could really change things up, really make a difference, really make things interesting. They did nothing. They moved Roman. That's it.
Roman and AJ, pretty much. They just traded.
They traded Roman and AJ. Everybody else, whatever. Nothing really changed. Nothing really changed.
We got one new NXT team for Raw, one new kind of NXT team for SmackDown.
Half an NXT team.
An NXT team.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much everyone got something. But Raw has to get more because it's a longer show. So they got most of the talent. They got Rey Mysterio now.
Yeah.
Andrade.
Which, how often is Rey Mysterio going to show up?
Well, it's he's a part-time guy. He shows up when they need him. But you don't need to worry about stuff like that because they have more than enough guys on the roster to fill up. You don't need Rey Mysterio week in, week out. You saw Rey, too. He seemed kind of sloppy on Raw. I worry about Rey, actually. He shouldn't wrestle every week.
Well, isn't he still hurt?
Was he even hurt for the match with Samoa Joe?
I think so. Now, what does Raw really look like, though? Like, Seth Rollins is the champion. Okay, you have Samoa Joe. I think Samoa Joe's going to feud with Braun Strowman on Raw. I guess Braun Strowman's still on Raw, right? He didn't get moved.
No, he didn't get moved.
Yeah, he's still there.
We thought he'd move to SmackDown, but they decided against it, I guess.
We guess.
Raw is not very exciting. Like, what do you really have on Raw? Sami Zayn? I'm trying to think. AJ Styles?
Andrade.
Maybe Samoa.
The Usos. Who?
Samoa Joe, maybe.
Samoa Joe. Okay.
Braun.
Braun, yeah. I don't know. Raw, like, I feel like they didn't give enough to Raw to make it that good. The War Raiders are on Raw. They're a really good tag team. They're now known as the Viking Experience, which people are really mad about for some reason. I mean, whatever. Is the Viking Experience that much worse of a name than the War Raiders?
Yeah, not much of an improvement.
Like, the War Raiders is kind of a crappy name, too.
Well, because they used to be called War Machine.
Yeah.
So it kind of seemed like, oh, it's just, a different kind of take on it, but it's the same kind of thing. Now it just feels like you've changed the name, you've changed kind of their look a bit, their names.
Their look is pretty similar.
For the most part.
And they're like Viking. Isn't one of the dude, like, he had a Viking wedding with Sarah Logan, like she's a Viking or whatever? They have Viking as part of their gimmick. Like, I don't have a problem with that. Apparently, the other name they were going to use for them was the Berserkers, which I think is far better. People are like, oh, that's worse. Could you imagine? I'm like, oh, that's way better. I would love the Berserkers. And if they started acting like the Berserker and we had two guys that were Berserkers, yeah, I'm into that. I'm into that.
Yeah, the Berserkers are much better. The Viking Experience is a terrible name. It sounds like a ride in Disney World or something. Like, I'm going on the Viking Experience. It's like, it's terrible.
What's Viking Quest? Is that something? Was that the show that the guy in Entourage was on? You know what I'm talking about?
I've heard of something like that.
I don't know. The Viking Experience, I don't think is a terrible name when you compare it to all the other tag team names in WWE. Like Boss and Hug Connection.
They no longer exist.
Yeah, okay, they don't exist because Sasha Banks is gone. But, like, Gable and Rude, like, well, what is that?
They got broke up, too.
Are they? Oh, yeah, Chad Gable went to SmackDown and Bobby Roode stayed on Raw. Bye-bye, Bobby Roode. Like, I don't think we'll ever see him again. I think that's it for him.
It's really lazy name-making, isn't it?
Yeah, like, they don't have good tag team names in WWE. The Bar, the Usos, the New Day is, like, pretty good compared to everything else.
You don't like the B team?
No.
Ascension?
I don't like the B team. Like, that's bad. They need to stop doing B team. They did a dark match against Heavy Machinery. Like, Heavy Machinery? Is Heavy Machinery a better tag team name than the Viking Experience? Maybe a bit, but, like, why are people so mad? Like, again, this is what Sami Zayn is talking about. These wrestling fans that just nitpick and complain about all these things that don't really matter. Who cares if they're called the Viking Experience? The amount of tweets and hate that the Viking Experience got on Twitter was outrageous. Why are people so mad? Who cares? I saw it. I was like, hey, isn't that the War Raiders? But then they came out and they were like the Viking Experience. I was like, well, pretty much looks like the War Raiders and then whatever. I guess they have a different name. Okay, who cares? Wrestling fans need to stop complaining about things that do not matter.
Yeah,
Complain about things that do matter. Like, we have no health update on Daniel Bryan, and he wasn't in the Superstar Shake-Up, and he's the best wrestler in the world, and no one's told me a damn thing since WrestleMania. Complain about that. Worry about things that matter, like Kevin Owens wasn't booked at WrestleMania. Care about stuff that matters, but the Viking Experience does not matter. No matter what you call them, those two guys are awesome at wrestling and will be a great tag team, and eventually you'll get used to it. You think Edge is a good wrestling name? When I first heard Edge, I was like, that's a wrestler? They're going to call wrestler Edge? And now I'm like, yeah, Edge, the rated R superstar. Of course. Makes sense. Over time, names that sound stupid at first work. Like the B-Sharps. Right, Johnny? You know? What was the line in The Simpsons? We got to come up with a name that at first sounds silly, but over time, it works. So there's like, how about the B-Sharps? They all laugh, and then they're like, I like it, right?
It worked.
The B-Sharps, the Viking experience.
Well,
boom, Simpsons reference.
The problem with the Viking experience, though, you had like WWE Hall of Famers, people that they look up to, role models, Mick Foley, Jim Ross, bashing the hell out of this. This was the problem. The problem was you had people that you respect their opinion and their 2 cents, and they're saying this was a terrible idea, and they make fun of it. That's the problem. That everyone else is like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, well, they should have kept them as the War Raiders. Like, they're the NXT Tag Team Champions. That's what's really ridiculous, is that they still hold the NXT Tag Team Champions. They're the War Raiders. Are they going to go back to NXT as the Viking experience and still defend the Tag Team Champions, or are they 2 different teams?
They haven't thought that through, obviously.
Yeah, obviously. I don't understand why they had to change the name from the War Raiders to the Viking experience. The only reason I can come up with is they don't want the name War on any of their teams, which, you know, I think is stupid. I think it's overly sensitive. You know, you can't say war. You can't say war.
No, well, it's just they're trying to be sensitive towards the fact that they're trying to be role models, right? The Be a Star campaign and all that stuff they do.
Right.
It looks bad if you have a team called War. It doesn't look good.
I don't think it looks that bad. I really don't think it makes a difference, but I get that that's kind of WWE policy. You know, for me, I don't care. Say War, doesn't matter. But I remember after 9/11, Raw was no longer War. Remember, Raw is War, the
right.
War Zone? That all stopped after 9/11, and the word war was like banned from WWE. Then again, the War Raiders exist in NXT. It's like, when it comes up to the main roster, Vince sees it, and he's like, no way, pal, we got to change the name of this team. Let's call them the Viking Experience. It's an experience, pal.
I disagree with them doing it, but they have their policies, and they stick with it. Like, Bully Ray wanted to be Bully Ray in WWE, but Vince didn't like Bully.
Yeah. If they're not supposed to call them belts and they're supposed to say title, how is Becky Lynch getting away with Becky 2 belts?
Some people get away with stuff. Ronda would get away with it. Ronda called it a belt as well.
Ronda got away with everything. Ronda got away with calling the business a work. She called wrestling fake. She's like, wrestling's fake. I could beat everybody up, but they tell me not to, so whatever. You girls are all soft. And I'm like, whoa, Ronda. This is a work. What are you trying to do here?
Yeah, she was saying to Becky, I don't care what the script says.
It's like, what?
She threatened to kill her, too. Like, she said, I'm going to kill you. Like,
I'm legit going to kill you.
Yeah, but she didn't, and she lost in the end, so she was lying. It was a work, and it was well done, wasn't it?
Really well done. I think that was one of the best things I've seen in a long time in wrestling. I was actually reading the tweets, and I didn't know, like, is this real? Is this not? Like, I think you were saying it, too. Like, is it, like, she was saying stuff that you were, like, she could actually legit do these things. It's not like she's just saying, I'm going to do this to you, Becky Lynch, and you're thinking, but she couldn't really. Like, she could legit kill her in 15 seconds. Sink in a choke. Goodbye, Becky Lynch.
Ronda was saying things that were true, but she was never actually going to do it because she knew that would be terribly unprofessional and everybody would be mad if she did that. She was saying the things, but it was empty threats from Ronda,
yeah,
right?
When Becky was saying stuff about like Travis Brown and all, and then she took that really serious. That's what really sold her, because you're like, okay, now like Becky Lynch has gone past the line, and now Ronda's getting really irate online, and you start thinking, is it a work? You kind of know yourself it probably is, but you can't be sure until you actually see her put her hands on her. And
when she did put her hands on her, it was rough.
Very rough.
I think Ronda definitely hit her with a few receipts from some of the things that Becky was saying online. I think some of the shots that Ronda gave were stiffer than normal because Becky pissed her off. But she still maintained that professionalism. She still stayed a pro and didn't do anything crazy in the ring. And you look at the match at WrestleMania, who wound up hurt at the end. I saw Charlotte wrestle this week on Raw. I saw Becky wrestle this week. I haven't seen Ronda. She's got a broken hand.
I feel the broken hand happened when she fell out of the ring. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
That was a rough fall.
It was very rough. Ronda, hasn't taken bumps for that long. She doesn't know how to take bumps that well, but she's willing to go out and take them, which I really like. I'm worried about it sometimes because the wrong move, you're breaking your neck, but Ronda's pretty tough, and I think it's going to take a really nasty fall to break that neck.
Well, we said it before, like, it wasn't a classic match, but it was hard-hitting and it was exciting. It just was kind of sloppy, almost from start to finish. But
that's kind of what Ronda brings. It's not clean technique, but it's violent and it's gritty.
But that's how you get hurt, though, too, doing stuff like that. You put yourself more at risk because you take more risk.
I want to see people take risks. It's professional wrestling. It's not ballet, pal.
Yeah, but if you're a professional, you can do it without...
ballet dancers do take many risks, all right? I'm not dissing, ballet dancers. It's just a phrase that WWE uses a lot. It's not ballet, pal,
Yeah, they can get hurt. They can tear their groin.
Yeah, their quads.
Yeah.
Remember that.
No, we're not talking about Vince. We're talking about ballet dancers.
I thought we were talking about Kevin Nash, but okay.
Oh, Kevin Nash. Are we talking about Kevin Nash? Big Daddy Cool?
I thought we were, but okay.
Diesel? That guy? Johnny North, I want to talk about Seth Rollins and what he's doing and where he's headed, because it's not clear to me who the next challenger is for the Universal Champion. Could it be AJ Styles? Could it be Kevin Nash? We'll discuss it when we come back. It is Wrestling Uncensored here on TSN 690.
This is Daniel Bryan, and you're listening to Wrestling Uncensored.
This is Brett the Human Hart, and you're listening to Wrestling Uncensored.
This is Aaron Schick, and you listen to the Wrestling Uncensored.
All right, welcome back. It is Wrestling Uncensored. I'm Dave Simon. Johnny North is here with me. Wally Byrne here from Ireland.
In the house
here on Wrestling Uncensored. WrestlingUncensored.net is the website. Go to the YouTube channel. Subscribe. YouTube.com/ do the promo for me, Wally. You can do it.
I don't think I can, Dave. I think you're the ultimate professional at this.
YouTube.com/ringsidereport.net. Ringside Report, DOTNET. Go subscribe right now. You were on Dave and Johnny Live yesterday. It was a good time. Everybody got to see Wally and Johnny and me doing Dave and Johnny and Wally Live, a special show. Go check that out right now on our YouTube channel. More info on WrestlingUncensored.net, YouTube.com/ringsidereport.net. Follow Johnny on Instagram, right? At Genesis Johnny North. On Twitter at North Genesis.
You remember, it's good.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to remember because you have so many different handles. For me, it's easy. At Dave Simon MMA, Twitter and Instagram. And Wally?
At Wally Byrne.
At Wally
Both
Byrne.
Instagram and Twitter.
See? Wally knows. Makes it simple for
Good
everybody.
marketing.
Yeah. Good marketing.
Yeah, mine linked to each other. Still works.
All right. Sorry, John. All right. Sorry. He's
Sorry,
getting mad. John's getting mad right now. He's like, what are you
He's a
talking
big guy as well.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to upset Big Johnny. Johnny, we'll talk about your next wrestling match soon. Seth Rollins stays on Raw, which I want to see him go to SmackDown. I wanted to see Kofi go to Raw.
Yeah, but they changed the Intercontinental and U.S. title.
Yeah,
so
I don't think they should have done that. I think they should have left them and then switched the main titles. But they didn't do that.
we almost had them unified, right?
Yeah.
So maybe they'll still do that match again. They still wrestle on the same pay-per-view, so maybe there'll still be interaction. It's just not yet.
What do you think they're going to throw at Seth Rollins next? Who is the top heel on Monday Night Raw? If Seth is now the top babyface, right?
Right.
Who's your top heel? Is it Sami Zayn?
Not yet, but he's up and coming, I think. I think the promo was fantastic. The thing is, that was Montreal, your hometown. Of course you're going to get a great reaction. Can you do that week in, week out? We've seen this before from Sami, where he's got some great promos, but then he got destroyed by Bobby Lashley.
Right.
So you just got to keep building this momentum. He's off to a great start, but in terms of top heels, I think Drew McIntyre right now is top heel on Raw.
Drew! Yeah?
Oh, without question.
So we're headed towards Drew versus Seth at Money in the Bank?
If not Money in the Bank, definitely the pay-per-view afterwards. I think definitely we're getting Drew and Seth. I think maybe you have to give Drew a big win because he just lost to Roman.
That was a major problem with Raw, the main event.
Well, it was the same old.
Six-man was terrible. It's just garbage. Seth, AJ Styles, and Roman Reigns. AJ's the new acquisition for Raw. We're supposed to be excited. And I love AJ Styles, but, I don't want to see AJ Styles wrestle Drew McIntyre or Baron Corbin or Bobby Lashley. If those are my heels, no thank you. Turn somebody else heel. Because if those three guys are your top heels and those are the potential opponents for Seth Rollins, no thank you. I don't want to see those guys wrestle ever. That was terrible. You know what the worst part of that match was? At no point during that match did we have either Drew, Baron, or Bobby not involved. You know? Like, it was either Drew or Baron or Bobby boring me to sleep.
I feel you on that one. It wasn't a great match. Six-man tags are terrible, and we had to get 2 of them for 2 nights in a row of main events. However, I saw potential in an AJ Styles Bobby Lashley feud. I think that could be really good.
It could be, but it'll be the undercard of Seth and Drew?
Yeah, it will be, unfortunately.
Oh, that is not good Raw. That is no good. Braun and Joe, that'll be cool. I like that, but that's for the U.S. title.
Well, I think eventually you could build towards Samoa Joe, Seth Rollins. I think that could be pretty good. But right now he has the U.S. Championship. He's got to drop that to Braun Strowman if you want that to happen. And maybe they could build up a guy on Raw, a Mojo Rawley perhaps. I know you love that.
Seth has to drop the belt.
Right away?
I'm sick of it. I'm sick of his title run. He's terrible.
He hasn't defended it.
He's awful. He's so boring. He's the most boring man alive. I can't stand Seth Rollins. He's the worst. I know people like him. I don't know why. People like him because WWE tells you to like him. And believe me, I was at that show. I was at Raw. I was at SmackDown. Most of those people, they're just there to cheer the baby faces and boo the heels. They will cheer whoever the WWE tells you to cheer for. And Seth Rollins has been this guy that they've been telling you to cheer for years now. And people are buying into it. Well, I'm not. Okay? I'm not buying into it because he's boring. He's a very decent wrestler. He's a good hand. That's it. His promos are terrible. He hasn't cut an entertaining promo in his life. He has matches that are good, not great.
I won't disagree with you on that, but I do find that he is over, though. The crowd did love him a lot, and they didn't just cheer and boo faces and heels. You saw what happened with Bayley this week.
She was the only exception, John.
I feel like there was someone else as well.
I'll explain why they booed
Sami Zayn got cheered and then booed.
It's his hometown, and then he turned on him. You know exactly what happened there. Don't try to muddy this argument, John. You know what I'm saying.
The people cheer for who they like. It's different. You saw Zack Ryder got cheered, but he also got cheered that he lost because they loved what the Viking Experience pulled off.
Because they're a new team that got a pop. They were put there as heels, but they were actually baby faces. Come on.
They're not going to be baby faces.
You see what he does here, Wally? You see what he does?
Yeah, I'm with you, Dave. I want to see Seth Rollins drop it straight away. I mean, as soon as he has it in his hands, like hot potato, give it to someone else.
Are you entertained by Seth?
Technically, he's really good. I think sometimes you can see some of his moves and you go, okay, that was really good, but you still kind of know exactly what order it's going to come in. If you've watched a Seth Rollins match a couple of times against people, you know, okay, now he's going to go to the top rope, now he's going to do this. You know exactly what order he's going to do it in. I like guys who can do technical stuff but mix it up, where you don't know where they're going to put the move in the match. I think that's a real big skill. And on the microphone, he just sounds so nasally and whiny, and there's nothing to his promos. He's so boring, there's nothing. I don't know what I want him to do. Like, you know what I mean? He's just. I think he was at his best. I think when he cashed in Money in the Bank a few years ago, and I think that was his best thing he's done. Or when he won the title, remember at Mania, that was him at his top best, and he had a potential there to do something great, and he just didn't. He just bored us to tears with more whiny.
That whole title run with the corporation or whatever, the authority.
Yeah.
Wow, that was bad.
Yeah.
And now they're doing it again. They're giving it to him again, but this time he's a babyface, and it's the same. It's not good. Like, no matter how many times they try. And this is what gets me about the WWE. They have the talent. They have so much talent. They have all the guys and all the ladies that could just kill it. And they keep trying with these people that clearly don't work. Like, they won't give up on Seth or Roman. And it's not really working. They're not lighting the business on fire. You know? Like, if you're going to get behind somebody and put the whole machine behind them, get people talking. Becky Lynch got people talking. Ronda Rousey, Charlotte Flair, that match got people talking. There was a buzz outside of the wrestling business. When Daniel Bryan was cutting those promos about the WWE and about the corporate structure and about the environment and stuff like that, that got people outside of the wrestling business talking. They don't want to get behind that for some reason. I mean, they are with Becky, to a certain extent. Apparently with Bryan, they told him to slow down on the recycling talk. They don't want him going that far, even though it gets people talking. Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins have never in their life generated buzz for the WWE outside of wrestling circles. Never. Never, ever. And that is not good. The Rock and Stone Cold and Mankind and Triple H, they generated buzz outside of professional wrestling because they were charismatic performers that were given the ball and allowed to run with it.
Yeah, it is. No one's ever transcended it in recent times, like outside of the business. Like when you look back at what you said, like The Rock, Stone Cold, even people who don't even know anything about wrestling will know them. They'll know Bret the Hitman Hart. They'll know The Undertaker. Like they're people who just went so far beyond just the ropes. Whereas now, you couldn't imagine if you said Seth Rollins to anyone, unless they're big fans of WWE, they're not going to know who he is. They're going to say who.
Yeah, no one knows who he is.
He's not getting offered any movie roles or anything, Whereas you've always, down through the years, you've seen even Hulk Hogan back in the day was in movies and people knew who he was. But Seth Rollins, he ain't getting offered anything from Hollywood.
Ronda Rousey is the only household name they have right now.
Well, Seth Rollins just defeated Brock Lesnar, the guy that no one could beat, the guy that wouldn't show up on Raw. Now you have a guy who will be on Raw every week. Seth isn't going to lose anytime soon. Because they've been building for him to win that title for so long, they're going to let him run with it. Because they let him run with it last time, and it got cut short because of injury in Ireland. So now, it's a shot on you a bit, Wally.
Yeah. Knee injury.
Yeah, but I know. And I don't like it. I don't like it. Give it to Sami Zayn.
They could.
Put the title on Sami Zayn. He's much better in every way. He's like Seth Rollins if Seth Rollins were entertaining. Because his matches are very athletic. He does a lot of cool moves, but he does them in a way with emotion, and you don't always see everything coming, and it's more fun. His promos, way better than Seth Rollins. Sami Zayn is the type of guy who, if you gave him the title, he could light the business on fire. Kevin Owens is the type of guy who could do that. They have these guys. Kofi Kingston was generating real buzz. Seth Rollins has not done that.
But he's the champion, and Sami Zayn, they're building him up to potentially challenge Seth Rollins, but he's not there yet. They just debuted this new character.
Do you think if he gets there, he will get it, though? I don't.
I think if Seth, he gets through a couple pay-per-views, like say we get to SummerSlam and it's Sami Zayn versus Seth Rollins, I think there's a great chance.
Maybe. I think that's the road, though. Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley, Baron Corbin. And then maybe Sammy if we're lucky. Maybe Joe if we're lucky.
If there's going to be a new champion, I think Drew McIntyre, because they kept hyping the fact that Drew McIntyre is going to be a champion one day. I feel like he will be the guy that beats Seth.
Drew McIntyre? I think it'll be Lars Sullivan.
But he's on SmackDown.
Oh, is he? Oh, yeah, he's officially on SmackDown. Oh, well. He'll probably beat Kofi.
Well, I think him and Roman will probably feud. I could see that be a big, maybe WrestleMania or possibly Rumble match for Roman Reigns, the big obstacle to get to the main event.
Yeah, I can see Lars Sullivan as a monster they're just building up for Roman. That makes a lot of sense.
He's like the Braun Strowman equivalent for Roman, pretty much, but he's on SmackDown.
Yeah, he's just another monster to be built up. He'll be really strong for a while, then Roman will beat him, and he'll get beat by everybody after that.
Well, then a face turn, and then a heel turn for no reason, and then back to face.
Face turn, he'll dance. He'll do a dancing gimmick, of course, right? Because, big scary guys have to dance.
I think him just talking, he'll get over on his talking, I think. People actually like to hear him talk.
Really?
I think he'll be able to cut good promos. Because he's getting better, it seems. It seems like he's more comfortable week in, week out.
I've heard he said some pretty stupid stuff on the internet in the past.
I'm not going to say he's crazy. A lot of people in wrestling are crazy. Most wrestlers, they live a crazy lifestyle.
Apparently he said some racist things in the past as well.
I imagine Hogan said some pretty bad things too, but you still cheer for Hogan when he comes out. So
yeah, Lars Sullivan didn't slam Andre the Giant at WrestleMania 3, though, brother.
But he's going to slam Roman Reigns at SummerSlam, brother. Come on.
Not as good. Lars Sullivan didn't get me and millions of other children into professional wrestling. All right? Hulk Hogan we're talking about. He gets a racist pass, I guess? I don't know. I didn't feel good about it, but he's apologized a lot.
I think they're building Lars Sullivan, Braun Strowman. That's WrestleMania for those guys.
Oof. Yeah, well, that'll be actually a step up for Braun Strowman, considering what he's done the past couple WrestleManias, teaming with a child and then beating up Saturday Night Live guys. At least now he'll actually wrestle a fully grown man.
Yeah, he's been wasted for so long. Like, Braun Strowman has such potential. Like, he's intimidating looking. He's the kind of guy who they could really push really well. Like, having him fight Nicholas and the two guys in Saturday Night Live is just so, it's demeaning nearly. Like, and he has a good gimmick. Like, get these hands and he seems popular. Like, a lot of people do like him. So he definitely he's someone that they should be pushing a lot more.
He could be a big heel Vader type character where you put the title on him and you're like, oh, how are you going to get the title off this guy? He's unstoppable.
We had that opportunity many times and they blew it all the time.
Yeah.
Lesnar squash him.
He's the new Big Show.
Lesnar squash and that no contest inside Hell in a Cell, they ruined it.
It's very much like Big Show, right? Big Show, sometimes he was this guy that was unstoppable and you're supposed to take him seriously for title matches and big main event spots, and then sometimes he was just a total joke getting beat up by whoever and it didn't really matter, and that seems like what Braun Strowman is headed towards, a career of being the Giant who, is kind of there and not.
I think they're going to give him a U.S. title reign, though. I think he's going to be the guy to beat Samoa Joe.
He has still not held a championship in the WWE.
Well, he was tag champ.
Nicholas.
Oh, with Nicholas, right.
He forfeited it, but they were officially champions.
He's still not held a singles title in the WWE.
It's ridiculous, but he's going to win the U.S. championship.
It is crazy, isn't it?
He's bigger than that, though, isn't he? Bigger than the U.S. championship.
He is.
Really.
He is.
Yeah, but they like to do that. They like to put like a big star as the champion to make the championship seem relevant.
It never works. It never works. It never works with the U.S. title. The U.S. title is a death pit. No one ever survives.
John Cena.
He done well would have taken on
only Cena, but Cena, I mean, come on.
AJ Styles.
Yeah, but only off the Cena run, right?
It was
still about Cena.
I felt the back and forth with Kevin Owens. I enjoyed that all summer. I really liked that. To me, it was like, well, this is the two best wrestlers going at it, and it's going to lead to a WWE championship eventually. Okay. I thought it was really good.
But for the most part, the U.S. title has been just a title that disappears. Shinsuke Nakamura held the title. We never saw him.
Rusev as champion, yeah. It's just bad reigns, yeah.
That's it. R-Truth was U.S. champion.
Wow.
That had potential. They just cut it too soon, I think.
They cut it really short. All right. A couple things that struck me about this Superstar Shake-Up. One is that Andrade moved over to Raw, and Charlotte Flair, his girlfriend, remained on SmackDown. They usually keep the couples together in these Superstar Shake-Ups, and I was surprised that Charlotte and Andrade were split up, especially considering how high standing Charlotte has in the company,
Married couples stay together. But if you're just dating, well,
they usually keep you together, too.
I think it's hit or miss. Like, wasn't Carmella and Cass dating? And I think they were on opposite shows.
No, but see, Cass had been brought up with Enzo to Raw.
Right.
And Carmella remained at NXT.
And then she went to SmackDown.
And then she got brought up to the main roster, but she was moved to SmackDown. Yeah, but that was a different story. And I think they were maybe broken up by the time she was on the main roster.
I think they got broken up by the time they went to the same show. Because remember Cass got moved to SmackDown?
Right.
I think by then, yeah.
They usually keep the couples together. Like the Usos moved to Raw, and Naomi did too. Naomi's married to Jimmy Uso.
Right, yeah, they did right by them. But they're also a well-known couple Andrade and Charlotte, they showed up at the Hall of Fame together and like, oh, by the way, they're a couple.
Like Dean Ambrose and Renee have remained on the same brand.
Yeah, they did good by that.
They always keep them together. John Cena and Nikki Bella were on the same brand.
Well, John Cena just went where John Cena wanted to go kind of thing. I don't think it really mattered about where Nikki Bella was too much.
Are we talking about brands or are we talking about Nikki Bella? John Cena went where he wanted to go.
John Cena does what John Cena wants. Look what he did. WrestleMania doesn't wrestle, but just shows up and leaves. That's it. No reasons.
I mean, look what he did at WrestleMania. He proposed to Nikki Bella, and a year later, he wasn't even with her.
They probably erased that from history, by the way. I'm sure if you look back.
They should. It really doesn't look good for John Cena's overall good guy gimmick, right?
I was there live, so I have it on my phone, so I can still.
Yeah, that's right. It'll never be deleted.
Never deleted.
Well, I thought it was odd that Charlotte didn't get moved over to Raw.
Well, she can always win the championship, right? And then she's on both shows, so.
It seems like people from Raw challenge Becky for the Raw title. People from SmackDown challenge her for the SmackDown title. And it's not like you can challenge her for both. Because on Raw, we had Lacey Evans beating Natalya to win a Raw women's title shot.
Eventually, and they didn't say the date or whatever. But
they didn't say when. And then on SmackDown, we don't know who her opponent would be on SmackDown, but you would assume it would be Charlotte because Charlotte wrestled Carmella this week and got the win.
She did, but also Bayley wants a shot. Ember Moon wants a shot.
Mm-hmm.
You have other contenders there. I feel like they still haven't made the number one contender match for that yet.
I was happy to see Ember Moon back.
I was happy for that. I enjoyed the Bayley reaction because they have an idea here. They could do a heel Bayley. Why not do it finally? You could have done it before. You didn't. Run
Evil
with it.
Bayley.
Yeah, Evil Bayley would work really well. She's too boring now with the hugging, and it's had its day.
I think it is played out, and I think that's why people were booing her here. I think she got booed here for SmackDown, which was odd because for Raw she was cheered. She was on Raw and she was cheered.
Right. No, you're right, yeah.
But on SmackDown she was booed, and I think it was a combination of things. I think, one, a few people started booing her just for fun, and it caught on, and everybody started doing it. It was just a couple guys in the crowd oh, Bayley, boo! And then they were loud.
Reaction.
They were loud, and then other people were like, oh, yeah, I don't like Bayley. I like the Iconics. Boo! Because the Iconics are fun, and people like the Iconics. They're getting cheered. More and more people are enjoying their act. They're funny, right? I like the Iconics. They're good. They're not great wrestlers, but they're entertaining. So I think people, it kind of caught on in the building. They like the Iconics. They've heard the story about Bayley and Sasha throwing a fit when they find out they were losing to the Iconics. And they're like, whoa, you don't want to lose to the Iconics? What's your problem, Bayley? Boo, you suck, Bayley. I think there's a little bit of that. Fans kind of resenting, even though they have no idea what really happened. And, I feel bad for how bad Bayley got booed out of the building. But I think they could take it and run with it. I think they could do something here with a heel Bayley. And she could start talking about how, she's been completely abandoned by her whole team. They were supposed to be the 4 horsewomen. I come to SmackDown, I see Becky Lynch, and she's threatening to knock my head off. Sasha Banks has abandoned me. She's left. Charlotte Flair barely knows who I am. She doesn't even answer my phone calls, Bayley could be like, hey, Charlotte, how you doing? They're both on the same brand now. Charlotte's like, yeah, whatever, Bayley. And, Bayley could get mad. Bayley has a lot of ammunition to be a good heel or to get sympathy for people turning their back on her and becoming a babyface again. There's a lot that Bayley could do, and now that she's on the same brand with Becky and Charlotte, there's a lot of beef there, pal. There's a lot of meat. There's a lot of good story that you could really dive into, and they could do it with Bayley. And Bayley, her character may be a little played out, but she's a very good wrestler. In the ring, she's one of the top talents that they have. She's had some incredible matches. And Bayley versus Becky, much prefer that than Bayley versus Lacey, or Becky versus Lacey. I'm not impressed by Lacey Evans. I didn't think that match with Natty was great, and she's wrestling Natty.
No, she's getting the forced push, though, Lacey, so it doesn't matter, if she was, the worst wrestler in the world. They love the gimmick. They love the attitude. That's all they really care about is trying to get that character over. In terms of the match, well, they'll work around it. I mean, this was supposed to be WrestleMania, right? And then they're like, oh, wait, this isn't going to work whatsoever, so we're changing it. And that's it for Bayley as well. She went up against Becky, who everyone loves, and then she comes out. Of course everyone's going to boo her because no one wants to see her wrestle Becky. They want Becky to win.
Right. She came out after Becky, so you expect, okay, Becky, you cheer. The next person that comes out is in opposition. You're going to boo her. There was some of that as well.
I feel with Bayley, like, there's too many strong faces on SmackDown. You have Becky. You have Ember Moon. And the Iconics, it's kind of weird, right? Because they're supposed to be heels, but they're also cheered.
I think they're turning babyface.
So
Charlotte is a good heel, though.
She's a good heel, but Carmella also a face on SmackDown.
Yeah.
You need a strong heel woman character. Bayley could really stand up here.
Yeah. And, you mentioned all those people. The SmackDown women's division is far superior to the Raw women's division right now.
I didn't even mention Mickie James also got drafted to SmackDown.
Or Asuka and Kairi Sane.
But they'll be tag team, though. So.
They're still there. They could wrestle tag team or singles matches. Look at the SmackDown roster. Charlotte, Bayley, Asuka, Kairi Sane, Mickie James, Becky Lynch is on both shows. But
right.
There's a lot of talent there on SmackDown. On Raw, Ruby Riott, Sarah Logan, Natty, Lacey Evans,
Tamina,
Alexa Bliss,
Dana Brooke, your new favorite.
Dana Brooke, right? Yeah, that was funny. I tweeted about Dana Brooke winning a match on the main event tapings, and I was seeing just constant flow, like mentions on my timeline. I was like, what is all this? Why are people so excited about this Dana Brooke tweet? It was getting like hundreds of retweets and likes, and I was like, what is going on here? Why is this blowing up so much? Why are people so excited about Dana Brooke? And then I found out, Dana Brooke retweeted it. So when that happens, everybody sees it, then all her people start retweeting and getting really excited. But I was getting so many comments on that one tweet about, oh yeah, Dana Brooke's going to be the next champion. Dana Brooke is the best. I was like, whoa, does Dana Brooke pay bots to encourage her on the internet? I didn't understand. I thought they were fake. I didn't get it. But it turns out she retweeted it, so then everybody else got excited. It's confusing for a minute.
Went viral.
Yeah, it did. It got big. All right, Johnny, I think we're running short on time here. Wally, Wrestling Uncensored. What do you think, man?
It's been an experience. It's been great. It's good evening sitting here watching you guys talk. You have some chemistry. You can hear it over the airways when you listen in. You can really hear the chemistry you have. But even watching it here, it's like it's real. If you were you'd be tag team champions in the in the radio industry, I tell you that you just have that little intricateness is the word as they use. But it's great to see it here. It's great to watch it.
Well, it's been a long time we've been doing this, Johnny.
Yeah.
This is episode 438.
Well, not my 438, but
no,
yeah.
But you and I have been doing this show for several years.
Yeah, we're getting better at it. Slowly.
What? This is such a weird comment, and that's why you're the best co-host, because you make super weird comments, and I make fun of you.
And me as you as well.
Me as you as well. That's right, Johnny. When's your next match? When can people see you in the ring?
Well, I got my grade 10, unlike you. So
I got my
it's
grade
gonna 10. Next Time Wrestling, Don Bellage defending the British Commonwealth Championship, May 4th. It's going to be on 5959 Boulevard Monk. Bell time, 7:30 p.m. Looking for that grade 10?
No, I'm just looking for some information here. So I'm going to be at this show May 4th, right? I have my tickets for Montreal Mayhem.
You have VIP.
VIP tickets. Well, makes sense, right? So go to Johnny's Twitter at North Genesis, his Instagram at Genesis Johnny North. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Dave Simon MMA. WrestlingUncensored.net is the website. YouTube.com/RingsideReport.net is the YouTube channel. YouTube.com/RingsideReport, DOTNET. Do I plug Irreparable Damage here, or do I not do that?
Plug it.
That's a different thing. We'll do that later. Go to my Twitter for more info on my other podcast. That's a weird one. At Dave Simon MMA. And Wally Byrne, plug everything you have.
Just at Wally Byrne. Follow us there, and I'll be talking about wrestling and MMA and all sorts. And great to have us. Thanks for having us along, guys.
Wally from Ireland, our main man. Thanks to Jimmy and Marco for helping us out. Thanks to you for listening. For Johnny and Wally, I'm Dave, and this has been Wrestling Uncensored. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.